Are you thinking about leaving your steady paycheck to do what all those influencers are telling you to do, which is to just quit the 9 to 5, start your own business? You'll have so much more free time and make so much more money, and it'll just be amazing. Are you thinking that? Are you? Because this video is all about breaking down the real pros and cons of being self-employed. As someone who was an employee for 8 years and then became self-employed 6 years ago, I have some thoughts. It's not all it's cracked up to be. I feel like no one's talking about the real stuff that's going on. Likely because they're trying to sell you something like a coaching program or a course on how to quit your 9 to 5. I'm not. I'm just gonna give you the real stuff. So I'm gonna start with the cons first and then move on to the pros, because there's actually a longer list of cons. Doesn't mean that I hate being self-employed. I actually love it. There's a lot of things you're gonna give up when you're no longer working for an employer. And one of the biggest things that you're gonna be giving up is benefits. I feel like when I was an employee, I did not value them as much as when I became self-employed. Now, when I speak about benefits, obviously depending on what country you live in, if you're in the US, it's gonna look a bit different than in Canada. In the US, you can get, that really nice private healthcare paid for by your employer. Obviously, we get kind of extended health through our employers in Canada, but then we also have basic healthcare provided by our provincial governments. That may not seem like, oh, we're giving up that much, but I'm telling you, we are, because there's a lot of things that are not covered by provincial healthcare, such as, optometrists, going to the dentist and getting cleanings, or anything to do with teeth, basically. If you have prescriptions, even for like little things, that can add up over time, and that was likely supplemented or paid for in full by your employer, and you're giving that up, and you're gonna have to find a way to either pay for it yourself out of pocket or pay for private health insurance through an insurance company. But besides health insurance, you're also going to give up a lot of other benefits that you maybe don't really think about too much, such as insurance. So likely your employer provides critical illness insurance, life insurance, and disability insurance. When you leave, like the day you are no longer an employee, you are no longer covered. And so that's why I think it's so important, even when you are an employee, to take a look at first, how much coverage do you have and is it enough? But also, if you're thinking of leaving, it's maybe a good idea to start looking at getting private insurance, especially life insurance. Another thing that you could be giving up by leaving is, retirement benefits. Maybe you have an employer where you have a group RRSP with them and they match your contributions. That's getting free money from that employer. If you're not signed up, please sign up. I can't stand when I see people just leaving that money on the table. But also you may have a pension instead, like a defined benefit or a defined contribution pension plan. And those things are so beautiful and valuable. And once you leave, you have to fund your entire retirement on your own. Another big con of being self-employed is CPP, the Canada Pension Plan. So if you're an employee and you're paying your CPP premiums, off every paycheck, it's automatic. You don't even likely think about it. And you may not even know that your employer is actually paying half. Currently, in 2022, the CPP premiums is 5.75% for employers, and then as you, the employee, you would pay the other 5.7%. When you're self-employed, you have to pay both. So instead of paying 5.7%, you would then be paying 11.4%. And fun news, in 2023, those percentages are going up to 5.95% on each side. So that would be you paying 11.9%. Now, we get questions all the time about this. It's like, how do I pay my CPP premiums when I am self-employed? It's part of your income taxes. It is not a extra thing that you have to pay the government. You're like, shoot, I haven't been paying all these years. It is bundled in your income tax bill. So don't worry, you've been paying it. Now, one of the biggest cons of being self-employed is irregular income. You don't have that steady paycheck anymore, which can be really nice to have that guaranteed income, basically, unless you get fired or laid off. When you're self-employed, it sometimes there's months where I don't earn any money. And then there's some months where I earn a ton of money. But it is up and down, and it can be very difficult to figure out how to budget. And for me, I do have some budget spreadsheets that are, helpful for people to try to budget, but basically that the only way around it is you need to have a system. I like to kind of do my own version of the profit first system, but really you need to be able to have some buffer money. So that means you need to have some cash on hand in case there is a month where there is no new money coming in, but you still have bills to pay. So budgeting will become a little bit more complicated. It's not impossible. I figured it out. You can figure it out, but it is less simple than if you just were to work for an employer. The other thing that I never considered when I quit my job, and I never thought about it, I'm like, oh, I'm going to run my business, I'm going to help people, I'm going to do, all these things. I didn't really ever factor in the idea that I now have to be a salesperson. And you may not think about yourself as that too. Even if you're a freelance graphic designer, you're actually a salesperson because you are always selling your services, trying to find new people. So you have to get comfortable with sales. And I'll tell you right now, I was not for like the first few years. And that's probably why I didn't earn as much money as I could have. I was terrible at it. I was terrible at selling, my online courses or my one-on-one financial counseling services or anything. I was just so bad at that. The good news is sales is not something that you're born with being good at. I mean, some people do have a good knack for it, but it is a learned skill. You can learn this thing too. For me, I worked with a sales coach for a little bit, and that actually really helped me figure out what I was doing wrong. But really, my biggest kind of advice would just be to be really confident about what you're selling. If you believe in what you're selling, it doesn't really feel like selling. You're just trying to help someone find the solution they're looking for, and you have the solution, right? And so for me, how I kind of sell things, I've got my budget spreadsheets. I believe in them because I use them. I've helped thousands of people with them. I feel good about offering people these budget spreadsheets. Same with my investing course. I've helped hundreds of people over the years with my investing course, and it makes me so happy to see all of the amazing results that these students have gotten. So I feel really comfortable selling this course because I know it's really good and it's changing people's lives. Now with that, and I know there's a ton of like influencers and YouTubers that talk all the time about passive income. I'm not going to go into that now. That is a separate video I'm sure I'll make in the future. In general, when you work for yourself, there's no such thing as passive income. You are going to be working. If you are not working, you're not going to be earning money. Now, again, depends on what your business is. If you have people that you can outsource to, if you have employees or contractors, great. But even for me, I do outsource quite a bit of work. I still need to be, I'm still the number one employee. I still have to be there. If I take time off work, I may have to say no to a project or an opportunity because, I'm on vacation and I just can't do it. That's a kind of a big con. You see online, all these people are like, oh, you can work from everywhere. You don't want to be working on the beach. Number one, you can't actually work on your laptop on the beach. The sun's glare. I'm telling you, I've tried. It doesn't work. It's just, you're going to be inside your hotel or your Airbnb where it's nice and dark and you can see your whole laptop screen. You're not going to be on the beach. And also, why would you want to work on the beach? Wouldn't you want to be enjoying your free time on the beach? That is what vacation is. Get rid of this idea, this kind of fantasyland idea of what working for yourself is. No, it's not realistic. And lastly, the only thing I actually miss, even with the steady paycheck, I don't really miss that. I've gotten used to that. The only thing I really miss about working for an employer, I miss my coworkers. I miss having friends at work that you see every day, that you can gossip with, that you could complain to about, whatever, office politics, all that stuff. I really miss that stuff. It's hard to kind of create that same environment when you work for yourself. For me, the only thing that I've been able to kind of craft is, doing like online masterminds. So there's a lot of people in the personal finance community I've known for years and years and years. And, we chat online or, we do a Zoom or whatever. We get together regularly to chat about what we're working on and supporting each other. That has been essential because otherwise you feel so alone. You need to have that community. Okay, those are the cons. Let's move on to the pros. And the biggest pro, this is something I used to daydream about for years and years and years, is I just want to get up without an alarm clock. And I pretty much do. I rarely set an alarm clock unless I know I have something in the morning, like an appointment. But in general, I just get up natural and it is as heavenly as it sounds. It is beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. And that's why I work so hard so I never have to give that up. I love getting up naturally at like 9 or 9:30. It's so nice. Not only that, I can set my own schedule. Like sometimes I'll be like, hey, it's 2:30 in the afternoon. I'm going to go do some chores and I can do whatever I want. And then maybe I'll just pick back up, whatever I need to do later that evening. But I can do whatever the heck I want in the hours that I want. Another pro is you just will have higher job satisfaction because likely you were quitting your job so you can do something that you're really passionate about. I mean, for me, I discovered hey, personal finance is my passion. Took me years to actually figure out that I should do that as my career. And ever since, I've never had this amount of job satisfaction in my life, any job I've ever had. Every job I've had, I feel like I've never truly been valued for the skills that I brought. But doing my own thing, not only can I prove that, yeah, I did know what I was talking about, or I do have that skill set because look at all the things that I've produced, but you just feel really good about what you're doing. Like for me, I didn't just want a job to make money and then just to buy stuff. I wanted to have something that felt meaningful. Now I get to pay my bills and do something that I feel like is really meaningful to me, but then meaningful to others and is actually making, hopefully, a positive difference in people's lives. And lastly, even though you are dealing with irregular income, the good thing is there is no income ceiling. Every job I've ever had, I've always hit that ceiling and I could never get past it. Working for myself, every year I can set goals for myself and try my best to achieve them, and usually I do. What's exciting is every year I've made more, and that's beautiful because I've never had a job where I've ever earned that much more the following year. It's always been budget cuts, recession, or I don't know, we're going bankrupt. Yes, I've worked at some really crappy places. So those are the cons and pros and cons of working for yourself. But tell me what you think. Are you self-employed? Let me know what your experience has been. If you're an employee, are you thinking of quitting? What's going on? Let me know. I want to know. Tell me in the comments. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in my next one.